Hey everybody, it's that time of year again for peer evaluations. So I wanted to give you a little heads up on how to optimize your best practices and succeed in your peer evaluation. So first thing you want to do is make sure you know what the lesson is and send the observer your syllabus and lesson plan for that day. So one thing I would say to preface this too is that all these practices are good to do for every class. You don't want to just have an observation that you've, polished and rehearsed, and then, all of a sudden your other classes are not up to the same standard. So this is a good kind of quality check for all of your lessons. Having a lesson plan, I think, is really important. So you have a structure, so you know the learning objectives. Maybe you do a key term sheet for students to follow, put an outline on the board, and then make sure that those objectives are being understood by the students by questioning them and summarizing at the end, and then giving them maybe a call to action or next steps. So some type of structure built in, I think, is really important to succeed in there. And, you being really prepared too. So rehearsing, obviously, if you're a first semester or early semester, new teacher, things come with experience. And one way to check this is doing what I'm doing here. Try recording your lesson or your kind of presentation, and then watching back how you look as students might see it, or even an observer might perceive you in the classroom. So here is the actual evaluation form that we use. And again, your observer should give you a week's notice, at least a week's notice of the time that they are coming to your class. They come for a 50-minute hour, but they could stay longer. You want to make sure that during that time you are presenting. The observer is there to see you teach. It might be lecturing, it might be interacting with students. You can certainly do other things besides just a straight lecture, but you don't want to do things like have students present or have a guest speaker or give an exam during the observation. Obviously, we want to see how you are comfortable in actually doing the lesson. Rehearsing the lecture is actually a really good idea. Having a detailed lesson plan where you outline the objectives, certainly looking at the instructor's manual from the publisher if it's available. I don't really go crazy over PowerPoints. I think that they can hinder the lecture a little bit, so it's better off doing your own thing, and you can take the publisher's PowerPoint, kind of look at it yourself, really scale it down, make it much more image intensive, look at stuff on the web. So for like Microsoft Office, I don't show the publisher's slides about Excel. I'll just open Excel and go through the learning objectives. Let's take a look at the actual parameters here. So the first one is classroom demeanor. Are you clear? Are you enthusiastic? Are you engaging? Those are the three things here. So again, having good eye contact with the students and the observer. Don't just teach to the observer. Make sure you work the classroom and you're upbeat about the material. Obviously, again, being prepared and being comfortable with the material helps you to be upbeat. You can't be upbeat with it if you're still kind of unsure about what you're trying to, put forward there. So make sure you know it inside out first. And if a student asks you a question about some of the basic terminology and you get a little stuck on it, it shows that you really haven't mastered the material yourself. So make sure that you are comfortable with everything in the chapter, the module, whatever it is that you're working on. Organization, again, the idea of having a structure, having a lesson plan, maybe even putting it up on the board, or having something like an organizational kind of PowerPoint where you let students know what the structure is, what the learning objectives are, and then you go through them. Use of visual aids. So again, I talked about using a PowerPoint here. What visual aids are you using? How effective are they? The way that they are integrated into the lesson. Are they supportive of the lesson? Or are they distractive of the lesson? So you don't want, certainly to read off slides or have students read off slides. You can just give them the slideshow before the lecture and ask them if they have any questions. Other visual aids that you might use are handouts, things on the web. Student involvement. Are students on their phones, on their laptops, just talking to each other, distracted, coming in late, not there at all those things. So the idea that, you make sure you run a tight ship, you've got their attention before you dive into the lecture. Driving the lecture with questions. The Socratic method, obviously, is very engaging. So you're not just getting up on a soapbox and lecturing. you are covering everything in a kind of question answer. Let them drive the lecture. You facilitate it and keep it on track, but you really kind of let them answer the questions. If they've done their homework and they've done their reading and they've prepared just like you have, they should be able to be comfortable with the material. And your interaction with the students, treating them with respect, calling them by name, the idea that you know who they are, the way that you field their questions, and encourage a multiple kind of participation. So sometimes I'll do something like somebody asks a question, instead of answering it, ask the other students, can you answer it? This way, again, you get that interaction going on. And then finally, the perception of student understanding. Again, how are you walking away knowing that your lesson was successful? Quizzing them at the end, some type of questions at the end, knowing that they are comfortable with the material, they're comfortable asking and re-asking questions, you're patient at reiterating and re-explaining. Okay, so then we get to that point there, you're going to get the observer to fill out this, and they're going to make comments on all these parameters, and then also give you some specific recommendations for improvement. Again, this is nothing like, we're not trying to persecute anybody here. We want you to do well. We want you to succeed. We want you to improve and get better and better every time. And then you're going to get an overall evaluation, excellent, very good, satisfactory, or needs improvement. Needs improvement doesn't mean that, everything is lost. It means that you've got some things to work on. And I think, afterwards, you want to have a meeting. The observer should set up a meeting with you, whether you discuss these things, and you want to be receptive about the critical things, and make sure that you then take that feedback and integrate it into your next lesson plan. Make sure that you guys sign it, the observer and the observee sign it, and then give it back to the office staff as soon as possible. So we do use this for tenure and promotion, reappointment, certificate of continuous employment, CCE. Good luck in your evaluation, and let me know if there's anything else I can help you with. Obviously, like most things, this comes with experience and practice, but I think, knowing the parameters and knowing the expectations up front will help you to formulate your lesson plan and your presentation and be a success.